All right, everybody. Come on in. Come on in. Thank you all so much for being here. Welcome back to the Wives Club. The Wives Club was started in 2021 when I booked a session with the late, great Kevin Samuels. Although he's no longer with us, his message still lives on. And the reason why we are streaming tonight, Thursday night, instead of our usual Friday, the first Friday of every month, the Kevin Samuels channel has new content, and they've already posted something coming up tomorrow night. So that's where we're streaming for you all on Thursday. Today we are going to review Kevin Samuels' most viral video and give you our reaction, plus a few things that you all might have missed that I picked up rewatching it. I'm Maggie. You all may know me from my cooking channel. I'm all about food and femininity. Luke Hazley is a moderator on Kevin's channel. Lucy, please introduce yourself.
Hi, Maggie. Hi, all. Yes, I'm Lucy, also known as Luke Hazley 20. And Kevin Samuels was the one who gave me the Luke Hazley name because, yeah, initially it's Luke Casley, but he put that E in between the S and the L, and I am known as Luke Hazley since he started calling me that. So I love that. So that's one of the precious things that I kept before he left us. He gave me a new name, and that name has stuck. And I have a channel. The channel is usually for femininity, elegance, and issues that affect women over a certain age. But today we're going to be discussing that famous video.
Oh my goodness, I did not know that Kevin gave you the name Luke Hazley. That's even sweeter to me. I've been calling you Lucy because I just love Lucy. Whether you all call us Maggie Lou, Ebony and Ivory, Laverne and Shirley, Cheech and Chong, whatever. We are here because, like Kevin said, the older women should teach the young. And I booked a session with him in 2021, and it wasn't for me. I always like to say I am happily average. It was because I always felt convicted whenever I would hear him say, "Where are the older women to teach the young?" So that's what we do here. We give our reactions based on our own lived experience. Lucy and I both have long-term relationship and marriage experience, and so that's where we speak from today. So I am going to pull up my clips. I see you all coming in the chat. Thank you all so much for being here. We're going to break down this episode. This is the full episode, and I put the link in the description if you haven't watched it. But I would love to know, I'm going to start off a little bit differently. I would love to know the first time you all heard Average at Best and what was your reaction. So I'm going to give my little story, and then Lucy, I would love to know yours. So a little embarrassing, but I was in the shower, and in my bathroom I have like a Google Nest, and so it was one of those things where it was just kind of playing videos, like YouTube videos, and you all know that it kind of auto plays, like after one video the next one just kind of comes up. I had never heard of Kevin Samuels. I had never heard of this space or anything. So I'm in the shower doing my thing, and I hear this man tell this woman, "But ma'am, you're average at best." And literally, I'm like, what? Like, I had the same reaction you all did. So I got, rinsed off and got out of the shower, and I'm trying to swipe and go back, but it was the clip. It was the clip that went viral. So today we're going to review the entire episode. And so I went down the rabbit hole, and I found out there was this man, Kevin Samuels. He streams at night. He talks about relationships. I was hooked, and the rest is history. So Lucy, I would love to know, since you were there long before me, what was your first Average at Best experience?
I think I was moderating already when he started that video, when he started that live stream, and I remember hearing a dog barking, and in my head I'm here going, that's a cane corso. I know that bark. And then he asked her what the name of the dog was. And what got me was, as an owner of two cane corsos and seven cane corsos from before, she said the name of the dog was Cane Corso. That's a no-no on the Cane Corso world. So that kind of like sparked my interest. Real interesting. Really, you own and are you? I think that she owns a grooming thing for dogs. So one of the important things as an owner for anything is to get the names correctly, especially if you have dogs that have specific breeds. Anyway, that's when I heard the average at best. And for me, it wasn't a big deal because I had heard suave. I would call it suave D. Thank you so much, Suave D, for your super chat. But when I heard the that term, I didn't. It wasn't bad for me because I heard was within the entire live stream, so I understood where he was coming from. So it wasn't a big deal for me.
Thank you so much for saying that. All right. Thank you, Suave D. We really appreciate this. Lucy and I do this because we have a heart for the younger women. But when you guys go above and beyond with the support, we appreciate it so much. So you are the stream sponsor, and I'm going to put you in the banner. Okay. So Lucy knew what was coming. I was totally blindsided. So we are going to break down this episode. As always, I put the link in the description. If you all haven't watched it, especially if you haven't watched the full 20-minute interview, I'm going to give you all a little bit of context. I highly recommend that you do. It may change your perception. All right. Hello, everybody coming in. And we'll get to a certain point, and then Lucy, I'm going to ask you why you picked this episode for us to review tonight. All right. So one of the things that Kevin Samuels did when he would have his live streams, you all know he was a very polarizing figure. Haven't talked to him one-on-one. He is, that man was just gone too soon and a genius before his time. But he was a lot warmer one-on-one, but he wanted to rattle our cages and get our attention, right? So he was a very polarizing figure, and people had a lot to say about him when he was with us. And one of the things that he would do that I was always impressed by is he would have these disagreement shows or smoke shows or whatever you call it, when if you were one of his critics and detractors, you could call in and he would basically give you the floor and say, what is your disagreement? All right. So this was a disagreement day. So he takes the call from this woman and he says, okay, hello, what is your disagreement? And immediately she says, oh, I don't have a disagreement. I just wanted to get some advice from you. First takeaway from me, and Kevin called her out on this. Ladies, we have got to stop thinking that we can do whatever we want whenever we want to. Men live in structure. He had laid out, this is what we're doing. And so it already started off bad. And I know a couple things you all probably didn't pick up on, because I didn't pick up on them the first time too. The first time, I'm going to call it defiance. She was just like, oh, I know, but I just want to get some advice from you. And then when he said, but that's not what we're doing today, she said, oh, but I know I'm always asleep when you stream. And so I never catch you live. We've got to stop using the fake tears as manipulation, because she went from, oh yeah, blow past your topic for the day to I want what I want. And then when he challenged her, she turned on the womanese kind of, you'll even hear it in her voice. She starts whining a little bit. And then he said, but ma'am, do you work? And she said, oh yeah, I'm a business owner. He said, well, I am too. He said, you could have booked a session like I did. You could have booked a session if you wanted to talk to me on your own time. She didn't want to do that. So that was my first takeaway, ladies. Especially when dealing with the caliber of men, masculine men, they live in a world of structure. So here would be my advice. If you are going to go against the grain, lead with that. It would have been better to say, I am so sorry. I know this is not the topic, but may I ask a question? If not, I understand. That's a lot more honest and forthright than just saying, I'm going to do whatever I want to do. And he said, you know what? I'm going to take this call and I'm going to make this a teachable lesson. And boy, did he. What was your first impression, Lucy?
Yeah, it was one of those that it was, I'm going to call in and you're going to take my call whether you like it or not, because you know what? I am here and that's how it is. And in my head, I'm thinking, I believe she had called in previously and had told her book a session. So again, she called in again, not wanting to pay the money to book a session, thinking that she was going to get in. Unfortunately, or fortunately for us, and unfortunately for her, he kind of gave her presentation as an example of the, you know, maybe the entitlement that some women have. And that for me, I saw that men, no matter what, they will still be noble and they will allow us grace no matter what, because we are women and they are men and they still fall for our womanly ways of doing things. So again, he was stern. He kind of explained to her exactly what the format was for it. She still didn't take it, but he decided to say, okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at this uh, example.
Absolutely. And Lucy said something, and then I'll move on to my next point. She wanted to basically cut to the front of the line because she didn't want to pay. Ladies, this is another thing that is not going to fly. Men understand that the things that they want out of life cost. Even the women that they want to be with. We have this thing where we just think because I'm me, because I'm special, I'm supposed to get something for free. If you didn't know, Kevin's consults were $1,000 per hour. Believe me, he charged it because he could. Now, if you didn't want to pay it, that's fine, but then you have to follow the rules when he sets the show. You don't just get to say, oh, I'm special, and so you're going to do things my way. The other thing that Lucy said that I want to call out, ladies, so Kevin did take her, call and said, let's go on. You come out of pocket already, but let's go ahead and go on. I'll use this as a teachable moment. Ladies, you're not getting away with anything. One of the things that I've realized in talking to men, I was talking to Thane earlier today, that hammer will eventually come down. When you slight a man, even if he doesn't say anything in that moment, even if he gives you grace to let you have what you want or go ahead, he remembers that. And everybody has an expiration date and you don't know when that is. So if you think you're getting away with something, keep it up. Or as we say in the South, keep on living. What ends up happening is a man is like a cost benefit, the way they look at things. Lucy says you need to be an asset more than a liability. And Thane told me, when you cross over into that liability line with any man, they shut it down, and they shut it down hard and swift. And you thought the coast was clear. So hear it from an older woman. I'm 48, Lucy's 57. You don't get away with anything. All right. So that was the first thing. So she comes through the door. This is what I want to do. All right. So, like most women, she starts going on with her thing about, I want a high value man. One of the things that I love that Kevin asked her, why? Why do you want a high value man? I tell you all the time, I'm happily average. Now, I am in a long-term relationship with a high value man, but we grew up together, so I've known him before any of this success. But if you go back and you watch this episode, everything that she answered with was around her. I really want a man that I can admire. I've been dating men and they're just not really motivated. And I really think I. She's 35. She has a 13-year-old son, never married. So she has a child out of wedlock. She's done whatever she wanted to do for as long as she wanted to do it. And now she thought she can skip to the front of the line and cherry pick the men that she wants. Ladies, that is very insulting to men. So here's another tip. Everything that I do, and Lucy will concur, is in service to our men. You get what you want by being a helpmate to them. So everything that you think is an asset, think about how it's going to be useful to your man. If I were asked that question, I would say something like, well, I was raised to be a wife. I come from a traditional nuclear family. I know how to fit in and serve a man and get on the program. It's all about what he is going to benefit from. When you lead, especially when you have those many things stacked against you with, well, I just want it because I want it. You don't get what you want just because you want it. What would you add, Lucy?
I agree, and also she led with her being a businesswoman of, kind of like a high value businesswoman. And again, for men, that really doesn't mean anything. You can tell them that you are the owner of Microsoft, and the men are like, okay, so to them it means nothing to those high value men, because no matter how value you think you are, that high value man is much higher than you. So again, it's just that's a masculine way of leading a conversation. And she wanted a six-figure guy. She wanted, she let him know from the get-go that she wanted that six-figure guy, because apparently the rest of the men were not up to her level. And that again, it just leaves a bad taste. And if I was being a matchmaker and I was trying to match this woman with a man, that would leave me a really bad taste in my mouth, because I'm seeing her leading like a man and always looking at the material side instead of the feminine side of why she wants to be a wife. I don't think she ever mentioned anything about her wanting to be a wife.
So we're going to park here, and I got another takeaway for you ladies, and it's going to hurt because it hurt me to have to put it together. But Lucy mentioned, she said she wanted a six-figure man. She wants a six-figure man because she makes six figures. So she was a business owner. She didn't go to college, so she doesn't have college debt. That's great for her. She owned a dog and pet grooming business, and she has made six figures for the last 3 years. Good for you. Lucy mentioned something, and ladies, you have to realize this. The qualities that we look for in men are absolutely not the qualities that they look for in a woman. So when you lead with your big salary, and I'm someone with a big job too, you will never hear me lead with that. When you think that because your salary is at a certain level, you also deserve a man of that caliber, you're very confused. My man will tell you CEOs don't marry CEOs. Somebody has to lead. And the other thing that I think a lot of women miss is that a man has had to do so much work to build himself. I'm a boy mom, two boys, 14 and 16. So I am seeing all the stages live and in living color. So when they finally get it together and they become the caliber of man that can command what they want, they're going to go for the best option for them. You don't get to just say, well, this is what I want. The other thing that Lucy said, men don't care about your money. Here's why, ladies. You think you have this big job, this big salary, all of that. But ladies, we are inherently selfish. My man tells me a man goes and gets these provider jobs because he is willing to be the provider of the family. He knows when there needs to be tires or braces or something fixed on the house, he's ready to do it. If you're very honest with yourself, ladies, when we get the big jobs, we want that baby Benz. We want those new shoes. We want the purses, the bracelets, the high-rise apartment. We don't get breadwinner jobs to fill a breadwinner role. We get breadwinner jobs and then still expect the man to cover everything. That is why men don't care anything about you saying, oh, I make this amount of money, because they know when the chips are down, it's going to fall on them. And so because it falls on them, they lead in relationships. They choose either we accept or we exit with grace. But you're not going to flash your wallet and say, I can do it too. Unless you want to be the breadwinner in the relationship and work until you're 65 and carry everything on your back and have a man get on your program, that's an option. Y'all know I'm never going to fight you. There are relationships like that. Over here, we believe in traditional. So that's one of the things that I wanted to say. The other thing that he asked her, do you know any of these men? And she said, oh yeah, my dad. My cousin, no, my dad and my uncle, they make, high salary jobs. He said, do you know any men that you aren't related to that are of this caliber? And the answer was no. The sad thing is, ladies, if you are not in those circles, you don't know these men. And not only do you not know them to identify them, you don't know how they move. You don't know what they like, what they don't like, what kind of schedule they keep, the way that they make decisions, the way that it's not up for a discussion. These men are, can be a lot to deal with because they've had to do that to become the men that they are. So if you think you're going to spend 10 years, 15 years messing with the type of men that are going to put up with your foolishness, and I have seen it, and it fails miserably, and then try and get a masculine man, an alpha man, a high value man, whatever you want to call it, and bring that same behavior over, you're really going to get your feelings hurt. One of the things that he told her, you don't know these men, and they are not chasing you down. Meaning, if you get to 30, 35, God help you 40, and you don't have a history of relationship with these type of men, it is an insult to them to think that I'm just going to show up and you're going to teach me, or I'm going to learn on the job. They're going to tell you, like my man tells you, I need you to be ready right now. So really think about that, because a man can tell the caliber of men that you have had relationship with, and it is an insult to them if you think you are going to practice on them after they've had to build themselves. So it's a lot and it may hurt, but it's the truth. What would you say, Lucy?
Very wise kind of analysis on that. And I also think that, a woman of 35 years old with a child, I think a teenage child, thinking that you're going to get the best of the best, it goes back to being not thinking about reality. Life doesn't work that way. And that's what Kevin kept presenting these examples to show us women that we live in a fantasy world. All of these things about thinking that you're going to get your billionaire driving to your house, picking you up in a Lamborghini or Ferrari with a gift of a Birkin bag. I mean, those are things that you see in social media. It's very unrealistic. And actually, a woman that ends up with a high value man, she shows her value in non-material things. He starts seeing her. Is she capable of maintaining a house, managing a home, caring for our children? Does she have, because they want intelligent women too. Just because you have a business doesn't mean that you are practical, wise, and intelligent. So again, she was working with a maturity level of a teenager, not at a level of a mature woman of 35 years old with a teenage son.
Yeah, let's talk about this and the children out of wedlock. I know we got some new people in the chat here. I was married to my college boyfriend, married for 10 years, have two children by marriage. Life brought me back post-divorce to someone that I grew up with, but he basically said he's not doing the blended family. And he absolutely has a right to say that. He told me, you need to finish what you start. So I live separate from him. I have a wonderful co-parenting relationship with my ex-husband. The boys actually live with their dad. So I'm kind of empty nesting here. Yet and still, my man has said, these are my requirements. So all I can say is, okay, I'm on the program, or I want to find someone else, but I'm never going to find anybody else like that. So I wait. What is my point, ladies? Even with two children that are from marriage, even with an ex-husband that is very involved, a man wants his own legacy. Ladies, I am sorry, not sorry. It is primal. It is, Kevin used to say this all the time, it is not natural for a man to take resources from his own progeny to give to someone else's. Every time he looks at another man's child, it reminds him that that is not his. That's just what it is, ladies. So thinking that with a child that is a boy, that is a teenager, if you've ever been around any teenage boys, there's a reason mine live with their dad at this age. That is a huge ready-made family. And The relationship that she had, it wasn't even her ex-husband. That man wasn't even really in the child's life like that. So when he started listing these things out, he said, you're an older woman, old for marriage, 35. You have a son with a sketchy dad. His words, not mine. When you start to look at it that way, we're not as special as we think we are. And she kept saying, oh yeah, but I'm different. Oh yeah, but I'm different. Ladies, we're not. We are not. He said to her, life has proven what you are. Life has proven to all of us. I'm going to tell you like my man told me today. If a man hasn't offered to sit you down already, you're not that special. So those of us that get up and go to work every day, embrace the fact that we are average. We just are. But it can be beautiful when you adjust your expectations for what life has shown you. So the takeaway is here, and we're going to get to why we're doing this episode tonight. We know what excellence is when it comes to beauty. We all know when a woman who walks in the room is just a knockout. Everybody looks. The women look, the men look, the older people look, the younger people look. You know what that is. I recently just came back from LA. You know, I travel sometimes for my YouTube channel. I was in an event in Hollywood, and I finally got it. Why Kevin said, yes, but are you an LA 9? And you all know he used to have women rate themselves. And this woman even said she was a 5 with a natural face, 6 with makeup. That's average, and that's okay. I'm going to say we probably are all average, because if you are that natural knockout beauty, that you're going to know that by like 18, 21. They're not just going to let these type of people just be out here working a regular job until you're 30 or 35. So hopefully we can take that, you know, that painful lesson. But I think the sooner that we embrace it, when you really look at what life has shown you that far, what life has shown you thus far, the men that you qualify for are the men that have approached you. So you can think as much as you want to that there's a millionaire or a billionaire waiting around the corner for you. There's not. What would you add, Lucy?
And I think you asked me earlier why I had picked this topic, and the topic I picked was because of your Instagram post about LA and being, a certain number, a certain rating in LA, as opposed to a rating in Idaho, Ohio, or whatever. It changes depending in the geography and the environment that you're in. So I think. I don't remember where she was from. Is she in LA? Is she? I don't remember where she was from.
Carolina.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, he, unfortunately for her, he gave her quite a few reality checks, and also called her on some of the disconnect, some of the things that she was saying about, she wanted a figure guy, and a handsome guy. And then she also talked about men wanting an arm candy. And she's like, wait a minute, but you're also asking for a handsome man, 6-figure guy, but you're complaining about the men wanting an arm candy. So again, he was very specific when he called out the discrepancies and the hypocrisy. And as women, if you're not mature enough to understand that he's calling you out and not get upset, you're going to push back, and you're going to call the mob to come in and get the man that's telling you some hard truths.
Yeah, so true. We've got a lot of y'all in the chat. We got Lisa the housewife here. Been a while. So good to see you. I love this comment from Celine. She says, I'm from a small town, and where I am, the idea of beauty is very different. This is pretty much the point here, ladies. I know we focused on your average at best, but I'm also a small town girl, and I love my humble beginnings. And, you know, when I walk into a room, people don't stop what they're doing to gawk, right? Nobody's offering me modeling contracts. I have a simple, regular life like all of you. But I think we women think, and I was listening to, I think it was Dennis Sperling on his podcast, I don't know where we've gotten to a point where average women think they're better than average men. And I think that leads to a lot of disappointment. I remember my pastor in premarital counseling said that the difference between expectation and reality is disappointment. And for whatever reason, we believe that we're a 10. I woke up like this. There's nothing wrong with me. I am the table. When our expectations are this high, and when life shows you what you qualify for, then we have this, like, these fits that, we can't believe it. But the thing is, ladies, have you ever thought that life serves it to men on the chin every day? They are told they are not good enough. You're not tall enough. You're not smart enough. You don't have enough money. And they go back and they make themselves better, and then they come try again. This is why you don't see the scars on their, young, wide eye hopes and dreams. And they realize, to be a man, to have a family, to be able to command respect, I have to go through the fire. And so you really want to think about what it's cost a man to get to that point. Then you want the highest of the high. You are signing up for a life, believe me. A lot of us, we think we know what it is. It is very different, believe me. It can be great, but I think when you adjust your expectations for your own reality, you'll end up a lot happier. Speaking of reality, so this woman was a simple Southern woman, Carolina girl. I can't remember if it was North Carolina or South Carolina. And she had fake hair, fake eyelashes. And Kevin asked her to rate herself. And she said something that struck me. She said, I'm a 5, which is average. And when I put myself together, I'm a 6. And he said, ma'am, that's average. Men don't go through everything they go through to be the top 1% and go for average, and go for older average, and go for older average with an illegitimate child, and go for older average with an illegitimate child from a man who's not involved. They're not going to work that hard to get something subpar. So she says, he asked her, what do you look like when you take all of that off? She was like, oh, I look the same. He said, no, you don't. Because if you look the same, you wouldn't have all of that on. Now, I know, Lucy and I just did a photo shoot. You want to get glammed up for your photos, a special event, that's fine. But you really want to think about, if you got to do all of that for your everyday, what do you really think about how you naturally look? And I'm telling you, ladies, go to LA, go to Hollywood, go to these places. Everywhere you look, that's why they call it the beautiful people. I was loving it. I was like, wow, she's Italian. Wow, she's from West Africa. Wow, she's from wherever. But people know, to even compete, you have to be at a certain standard. So don't fool yourself, and don't hurt yourself, and don't waste your own time. So she's telling him, I'm special. I can be what a man needs. I can help him with his business. They don't want your help. I can do this, I can do that. And he said, well, you know what, ma'am? Unfortunately, he was trying really hard to not say it, but sometimes the truth is just the truth. And that's why I wanted to build up to this point. And that's when he told her, he was like, ma'am, you're average at best. And I know we all kind of fell out of our chairs when he said that, but if you really listen to that episode, and he really surgically, with precision, told her all the reasons why you don't qualify for what you want. Find a simple man and get on and live a wonderful life. And he said, the only reason why you think you deserve this caliber of man is because you've made 6 figures for 3 years. That's great. But in every other area that is important to the man that you want, you don't measure up. So it was a tough one, but I think it was so good to hear, because that last little clip at the end where he told her, get off of my phone, she had it coming. What would you say, Lucy?
Yeah, that was a really interesting session. But then again, for me, she was just another one of those women that thought themselves as something more than they were. And again, I think that Kevin kept pressing the fact that average is okay. if we were all above average, then we wouldn't realize. I mean, it would be just, for me at least, it would be such a boring world because we would all look the same. I am from California. I have seen the California beauty. For me, it's no big deal because most of it is it's created and it's not real. So, but I come from, South America, where, beauty is just, it's normal. You see it in every person, from the the less fortunate to the to the very fortunate. So again, to me, this thing about these women giving themselves, rating themselves higher than they are, is astonishing to me. It's very hard to understand. Even now, it's very hard to understand how a person does not look at themselves in the mirror and say, you know what, I'm okay being okay. It's okay. I'm not, and expecting the world to, for you. And again, that goes back to also narcissism, because these women that think that they're so beautiful that they're going to walk into a room and everybody is going to turn heads over what? You are average. The most beautiful women go into a room, they turn heads and they have no idea that the heads are turning for them. They just move on and go on with their lives because they don't live that way. So again, this was a perfect example on some of the unrealistic expectations that women have for the men in the world.
Absolutely. I'm going to make one more point and then I'm going to come to you all's comments. I see you all really active in the comments. I'm actually going to drop the link too. If you all want to chat, you can be camera on or camera off. We got a new stream sponsor. The Condemned says, telling a 1% man who got there by himself to accept an average woman who feels like she deserves it is like telling a 20-year-old woman who's a model to accept a 40-year-old man who has no purpose. Well, ladies, you hear it from the men. They have been screaming this. And here's the thing. This is not to, and I'll update you in a moment in the ticker Condemned. Thank you so much. This is not to beat up on anybody. Kevin, actually, if you listen to this episode, I highly recommend that you all do. Aaron Laura dropped it. Thank you. He really handled her with care. He really handled her with kid gloves. He was, like Lisa used to say, in daddy mode, really trying to say, hey, you don't want to go over there. No, you will get your feelings hurt. I love what Lucy said about, women who are naturally, head turners, naturally beautiful. They walk into a space and it's just it's captivating because when you see it, it's kind of like, wow, now I get it. That's the experience that I had. Now, look, like Lucy said, I don't know if these are original parts or replacement parts, but they've got it done so well that you can see you just walked off a magazine. If that has not been your experience, then you're average, just like me, just like Lucy, and it's okay. When I said that he was really kind to her up until the very end, and I do want to talk about how this call ended because I heard some people responding, or he shouldn't have sworn at her, he shouldn't have kicked her off, whatever. What happened at the end of this call, after he told her time and time again, ma'am, you're average. You don't get the cream of the crop. He asked her, why didn't you marry your child's father? And she said that thing that a lot of women say, I was young and dumb. And he looked right at her and he said, young and dumb costs. Ladies, there are consequences to our actions. I'll put myself on the hot seat. I should have controlled my weight better. I have to worry about that the rest of my life. You don't get to just do whatever you want to do for as long as you want to do it. Hot girl summer turns into a hot girl decade. And then when you're finally tired and worn out, I want somebody at the front of the line. It's not going to work that way. It's actually an insult to the men. So if you've been reckless, if you've wasted your youth, if you've given your womb away and didn't require marriage, there's a cost to that. Can you still have a life afterwards? Can you get married? Absolutely. But the men that have built themselves, they want the best of the best, just like you do. And the thing is, like my man says, they're the one buying the rings. So they get to choose. So at the end of the call, he's giving her, this little bit of tough love, but there was a lot of love in it. And she said, well, I'll just book a session with you because I really want to get myself better. She still defiant, still kind of saying, I know that's what you say, but I'm going to, I can help him. And he was like, ma'am, you're not getting it. You're a nice lady. He even complimented her. If you go back and watch this, he said, you're a nice lady. You're attractive. Why don't you just find somebody in your lane? And she said, "Ah, you're being mean." That's what set him off. He has spent 20 minutes talking to you on an off topic day when you came through and took advantage of his kindness. Y'all see this hammer is about to drop? All these things that he allowed you to do. He repeated himself and told you, ma'am, this is why you don't qualify. This is what men think of you. This is how these men are. You're not in these spaces. You don't know these men. Find somebody your speed and have a happy life. She was defiant, and then she insulted him at the end. After he gave her grace, she said, "Oh, you're mean." That's when he went off. That's when you saw Mufasa. And that's when he swore and he basically told her, "I'm sick of you broads saying I'm mean when I'm trying to help you and I'm being honest with you." And it really set him off because he was just like, you know what? He didn't say this, but I'm thinking, I didn't have to take this call. I didn't have to help you. You came to my show cutting the front of the line again because you wanted my attention. I gave you grace and you repay me with an insult. And he told her, get the blank off of my phone. And that's how the call ended. But ladies, I'm hoping you realize here, this man did not just take this call and say, oh, you're average at best. Go buy a dog and die alone. He didn't do that. He really tried to help her. But when you deal with these kind of men, I'm going to tell you, my man tells me, Maggie, I'm going to tell you one time in a row. And that's it. They're not repeating themselves because they don't have to. So if you disrespect that, and what she did was disrespectful on his platform when he extended you grace and then you insult him, you get what you get and don't pitch a fit. So that's how the call ended. What would you add, Lucy?
I love how you said that your man said, I'm not repeating myself, because when I was first dating my husband, he said that one of his pet peeves was to repeat himself. And I think I've mentioned this before. I think I tested it once and the hammer dropped, and I'm like, oh, he really meant that. But going back to the conversation that they had, Kevin asked her, what would be better if you honestly sat down and asked yourself, what value can I bring to a man? And she started saying something about, I can help him with his business. I am a good organizer. I can plant, something about planting. And when you say that, I'm going, what, where are we? What is this? She can help him plant what? So again, she started, and that goes back to Kevin being surgical with the questions that he asked and what he wanted to hear from her. And she answered nothing. She didn't bring anything to make that relationship with that possible with that imaginary high value man possible. So again, she didn't bring anything. All she brought was like her business experience. But again, that goes back to one, he doesn't need your business experience. He's made it on his own. Why would he bring somebody to give him more business knowledge when he already has it? So again, this one video was just incredible, showing the patience that Kevin had, how he kept talking to her, trying to guide her, even though the live stream wasn't even close to what they were talking about, because it was a disagreement hour. She called in with a different perspective. He allowed her in, and then at the end, she becomes disrespectful because she didn't like the answers that she was getting, because those are the answers that she was going to get from every other high value man that she would even try to speak to.
Speaking of that, we have someone very special in the chat. The late, great Kevin Samuel's best friend, Jeff Liscombe, is here. He has been supporting the Wives Club from the very beginning, and I am always honored when he stops by. I've talked to Jeff a few times offline as well, and I just every time I think about my conversation with Kevin and the vision that he had. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, he's a bad man." He really had a heart, and like Jeff says, Kevin was trying to help and help her get the man she could truly attract. That's not an insult, ladies. I mean it when I say I'm happily average. I booked that session with Kevin knowing that I'm average, but I wanted to be helpful. He says she asked for help and she didn't want to listen to what he was offering her to get the outcomes that she wanted, a husband. And that is so true, ladies. At the end of the day, none of us want to buy a dog and die alone. And you would be so much happier in the end to grow old and look forward to your golden years with somebody that you admire and respect and is devoted to the family and provides a life for you that you can't provide for yourself. If you all would please put Jeff in the chat, I would really appreciate it. But, one of the things I would like to caution these big boss women, and then, I'm going to come to you all's comments. Be careful leaning on these big jobs and these big salaries. I already told you, when we get the money, we're not using it to save. We're not living on 20% and providing 80% for the family like a man is. We want the next shoes. We want the next bag. We want the next car. I remember being headstrong and thinking my career and my accomplishments really meant something. But now as I get older, all the women in my age range and older that are still fighting that good corporate fight, they're day drinking. They're stressed out. They're on medication. They're overweight. They hate their lives, but they have hitched themselves to the work machine. And ladies, we just weren't built for it, not for the long term. Kevin used to say that stress is for shoulders and not hips. So again, you can sign up to be, the leader of the relationship, but I think we are better in service to a man who is willing and able to take that on for the long haul, and we're able to be a beautiful support system to him. If marriage is the ultimate goal, I think we should all look at our options realistically and find the best thing for you, because I do consults and coaching outside of YouTube, and it's amazing to me how many women that are attorneys close down their law firm. How many women, after they have that second baby, they don't go back to work, to that big job that they were bragging about? How many women are happy to, no, please save me from myself? So hear it from an older woman. Don't let that big job and that big salary make you think that you're going to feel that same way 45, 55, and 65. What does Jeff say? Okay, let's come to the comments. You ladies are exceptional in talking to women and working to help groom them into being wives. Thank you for what you do. Oh my goodness. All right, let's see what Black Wolf says. Kevin was smart when he came up with this sign language: the shame, the insult, the guilt, and the need to be right. Most women are seriously guilty of. Yes, ladies, I would encourage you to go watch this episode and watch how he was telling her lovingly. She just didn't want to hear it. She actually said, "No, but I'm special." And that's a mistake a lot of us make. Yes, Jeff is in the house. Absolutely. What else would you add, Lucy?
I remember when Kevin used to say stress is for the shoulders and not the hips. And I remember thinking the hips are made for children. I remember having my brothers and my sisters when I was younger, having, because I don't have a child, my nieces and nephews, the hips are made for our kids. There's a reason why we were built a certain way. And yeah, men carry that stress, for us. And and when you have somebody in, right next to you, that you know that he's going to shoulder all that pressure, it's such a it's such an amazing feeling to know that you have that strength next to you, and it's going to be for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, till death do us part. As we should be paying attention to those vows that, unfortunately, in the modern world, we have taken them into that meaning nothing.
Absolutely. I love this comment from Next Level. He says, people tried to make this woman seem like she was a child, a woman over 30. He went over and beyond for her. He really did, you all. Man, did he. He also told her 20 times to seek therapy. I've got an eyelash, but I do want to respond to this. He asked her, if she had had therapy, because ladies, a lot of time, like Lucy said, we're in this fantasy world, and I don't know if it comes from what your mom told you or what your girlfriends told you. You should only be with a millionaire, or you need to be one of these yacht girls or whatever. For most of us, for the majority of us, that's not the real world. So, if therapy or coaching or, something that can help you adjust your expectations, I don't remember her saying that she had gone to therapy, but it really is a mindset shift that I would encourage you ladies to think seriously, because once you get to 30, and 35. Like Kevin said, that's why a lot of men don't want to deal with older women, because we're stubborn and set in our ways. You see it in this episode. He's telling her as nicely as he can. And that's the other thing. I'm almost offended, when she said he's mean. That's another thing. You don't understand how men communicate. They get right to the point. They may or may not care about your feelings. So that shows your inexperience with this caliber of men. And Kevin is asking her questions. You think that the man who's seriously vetting you for marriage or long term is not going to ask you all these questions and more. So you're already exposing that you are really green. You don't know anything about this space. I wish I would tell my man, that was kind of mean. They say what they say, they mean what they mean. It is what it is, ladies. So either you're built for that or you're not. And I wanted to, end on the comment that Next Level said about women tried to make this woman seem like a child. One of the things I did love is that, she had her own media tour after this, and people were just kind of like, are you okay? That man was so mean to you. He was that big and bad man was mean to you. She actually agreed with Kevin's summation of her. And I'm really proud of her for thinking about it. You know what? I did call in and it wasn't the right time. He did talk to me nicely and he did try to help me. And I am an average woman and that's okay. And I hope, I don't know where she is now. I hope she has found real love. But what I find is a lot of women cherry picking and wasting a lot of time and then thinking when they get to 30, 35, 40 plus, they're going to get the cream of the crop. You had your chance. If you didn't prioritize marriage and relationship when you were young, unfortunately, for the kind of men that most of us want, you have kind of blown that opportunity. It is going to be extremely difficult. Do miracles happen? Yes, maybe, but it is going to be a long road. So if you want marriage, find somebody suitable and get on down the path. Any final words, Lucy?
I do hope that she, after all that big deal that was made for nothing, because that actual live stream was very helpful to her, and I hope she went back. She realized that what he was saying was, pretty much on point, and if she truly understood the lesson, I hope that she got to meet a good man for her, and that salute to the dogs. I think I said in the comments, I said "sawoof" back to you. And I hope that she does get the man that she she wants, and she has a good relationship, because we all want the best for each other, for our sisters and our brothers. So I hope so. I sure do.
Absolutely. You all know Lucy's dogs are family. Usually they're over here asleep on their CPAP machines, but they weren't snoring tonight. They felt the average at best episode needed, a little bit more woof going on. Thank you all so much for the compliments. Thank you for the support. Thank you, Jeff, for coming in and encouraging what we do. Lucy and I, neither of us have daughters, but we have a heart for the community, and we want you women to win. I really don't think anything we say is that mind blowing. This is just how the older women talked to the young back in the day. If you were wasting time or fooling about, they told you so. So we're hoping that we rattled some cages tonight. But yeah, this episode is the episode that Kevin was already growing, but kind of shot him off nuclear. So if you only heard the clip, ma'am, you're average at best. I implore you, I am begging you, go back and listen to this episode again with the context that we shared with you all tonight and see how long and how patient he was working with her to really help her realize, yeah, I'm, shout out to Lucy, barking up the wrong tree. I'm a simple small town girl. Let me find somebody and just go live a quiet life, which is a beautiful thing in and of itself. So, yes, I'm so glad we rattled some feathers. Well, good. Auntie Maggie and Tia Lucy needed to let you all know. So, the Wives Club is here for you all every week. Usually, it's on Friday nights. We always take a Kevin Samuels episode and we give you our perspective as older women with marriage experience, long term relationship experience, hopefully to teach. Um, we are streaming tonight because tomorrow we will see you all in the chat. The Kevin Samuels channel has some new content the first Friday of every month. That's why we wanted to stream for you all tonight and go over average at best. So if you are happily average or want to be happily average, you can absolutely have a good outcome. So we will be back next week, Friday, with another episode and can't wait to see you then. Anything else, Lucy?
Thank you for being here. I know that we're running against the lead attorney. So thank you for you all to be here to kind of look at the reaction that we have as a former wife and current wife. And again, I think that because some women have not experienced being with strong masculine men throughout their lives, they don't understand that men are direct, they are logical, they will tell you as they are, and then they move on. Life moves on for them because they're not the ones to stop reminiscing or thinking about whether what they said was right or wrong. They just wanted to tell you the facts, and that's how it is. And that's what Kevin was teaching many of us.
Yeah, we learned so much and our lives were forever changed. So Aaron Laura has dropped his channel. You all please, we'll see you in the chat tomorrow. We'll see you all back here next week. And thank you to our donations tonight. The Condemned with the $10 super chat. We appreciate you so much. And Suave D kicked us off with the $5 super chat. We appreciate it so much. So until next time, adios.
Yes.